Ariel Castro had a neighbor who has just been sentenced to 445 years in prison because he admitted to raping and murdering 2 women and also raping his own 3 daughters. This guy's name is Elias Acevedo Sr. He pleaded guilty to hundreds of charges, and as I mentioned, he did rape his own daughters. He also admitted to killing Christina Adkins in 1995 and Pamela Pemberton in 1994. Pamela Pemberton was with him drinking with friends in the mid-90s, and apparently they had left and he tried to have sex with her. When she refused, he raped her and then strangled her and left her in the woods. She was later found by a group of boys. And then just 2.5 months later, he raped Christina Adkins. She was an 18-year-old who was 5 months pregnant. He was upset with her because she had threatened to go to the authorities and also tell her boyfriend about it. So he responded by snapping and killing her. He put her body into a nearby utility vault, and that's where it stayed for 18 years. I can't believe her body was there for 18 years before authorities discovered her. Now, the reason why he got caught is because after Ariel Castro got caught, authorities wanted to start investigating a bunch of murders that happened in that area. And then they somehow managed to tie those murders to his neighbor, Elias Acevedo. So the reason why he admitted to all of these crimes was because he was facing the death penalty. And as part of the plea deal, he agreed to confess to killing these women, even though there was very little evidence, by the way, tying him to these murders.
Yeah, it's a crazy story, no? I mean, it's like they live on Wisteria Lane where everyone has a deep, dark secret, and everyone's a secret murderer and a rapist. I don't know what to say other than it's a crazy story.
What I find really fascinating about this is that he was raping his own 3 daughters for years, right? And he managed to murder these women in the mid-1990s. And he didn't get caught till now. We had to take down Ariel Castro in order to tie these murders and these rapes to this disgusting, hideous human being.
Yeah. Well, it says that he's a convicted
sex offender.
When was that? When did that happen? When did he get convicted of the sex offense? And the whole thing about it, if you are convicted of a sex offense, how you ever get out of prison? Because we know you're going to do it again. This doesn't go away. Especially pedophilia. We know it's going to happen again, yet they give you... I don't understand how you ever get out of prison for that.
I don't know. I think that's a really touchy subject. I think that some people who are convicted of sex crimes can be reformed.
Really?
I don't like the idea of putting them.
What sex crime it is.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Like, I don't like the idea of putting all sex offenders away for the rest of their lives. I do believe in maybe monitoring their behavior and making sure that they don't repeat the crimes that they were convicted of originally, but putting them behind bars for the rest of their lives is not the answer.
Really?
And again, it depends on what they did.
Well,
I mean, if they're
sex crime can be anything from flashing a girl at a fraternity party to child rape.
Right.
So that's a big range, and to lump them all together is a real disservice to the community.
Right. We've all flashed at a party.
Yeah. The thing about this story, which also goes to the Ariel Castro story in the first place, is some of these things come up and they are so profoundly horrible. The details are so insanely awful that it really makes you question, like, how does this happen to a human? Right. Now, I'm not giving any empathy to this guy, of course, but how does this happen to a human being, into their brain, that this happened to his own daughters, this other woman, the killing, the hiding? It's really, I don't know that, certainly we can't resolve it while we're sitting here.
I don't know what his history is, but oftentimes with sex offenders, they have a history of being abused themselves. Yeah. So it becomes this vicious cycle, and then they carry out the same type of abuse that they experience.
Yeah, so, okay, I mean, does anyone get worse than this? Someone who rapes his own daughter, 3 different daughters, then he rapes his sister-in-law, a person who's married to his brother, who's 5 months pregnant. He murders her, rapes her, stuffs her body in a utility vault. I mean, this is about as bad as it gets. And then people look at a person like this and say, this is why we need to have the death penalty. And yes, if we executed just this guy, I'm okay with it. But the problem is we don't execute just this guy. We execute this guy plus a whole bunch more people. Some of whom may be innocent, some of whom are there for other reasons. So you know, it's easy to pick one horrible example and say that's why we should have the death penalty. But I just want to admonish people out there that it's not that simple, that you can't just execute this guy. That to execute this guy, you have to accept the fact that you will execute some innocent people too.
And also in this case, it was just the threat of the death penalty that got him to admit it in the first place. I'm not for capital punishment, but the threat of it got us to the truth here. So.
Yeah, well, you can make that argument, but also at the same time, those two there was very little evidence tying him to the original to the two murders. So his 3 daughters did testify against him, so that's very strong evidence indicating that he did in fact rape his daughters. But if there's very little evidence tying him to those murders, I mean, I'm not saying that this is the case, but it isn't far-fetched that he could have confessed to that because he was so worried that he was going to get the death penalty, even knowing that he didn't actually commit those murders. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if that's actually the case.
Well, you can't get the death penalty for raping your children.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the reason why the death penalty, you're right, it's also correct that it's not equally applied. It's often innocent people get killed. Whenever they decide to do one of those innocent projects, they always find all these poor people didn't get represented and they were innocent of it. So that's the horrible part of it, that innocent people are killed by the state. But the reason why, the theory, the idea of why it's wrong to have capital punishment is because it does the exact opposite of what you're trying to do, which is teach people that violence is a bad way to solve problems. Instead, what you're teaching them is violence is a perfect way to solve problems. Watch this, we're going to kill this guy. Killing does solve problems. And that's constantly reinforced, and that's what the death penalty reinforces. So it undermines your own message of peace and civility.
I agree with that.
I agree with all of that. All that being said, when you see a monster like this, I think it's also understandable that some people might say, we got to push the button and kill this guy.
Steve,
I get that. I get that.
Say, and that's the thing. People say, well, what if your wife or your kid, your daughter was raped by this? Wouldn't you want him dead? I want him dead when I get my order wrong in the drive-thru. That doesn't make it right, right? All that says is the victim shouldn't be doling out the punishment. That's what that means.